United Air Force, right? And he was initiative communicator working for a NSA or National Security Agency, if you will, right? So let me just briefly give you a recollection of what the project was all about. So the experiment known as the Project Preserve Destiny started in 1960 and was fully operational by 1963. It was a genetic management project with the sole purpose of cultivating human offspring so that they would have the ability to communicate with extraterrestrial species known as Greys, from which US and other countries were and still getting advanced technology. His mother was initially abducted in 1960 for tests, then again in 1963 for the actual genetic procedure, while Dan's biological body was still in the womb. So this is his book. You can find it on the internet, download from somewhere. It's a very good information, if you will. I can confirm this. So the intuitive communication stands for the ability to communicate with extraterrestrials through the intuitive manipulation of the consciousness. There have been a handful of people since this ability was perfected that have utilized this skill within the military establishment. There are many others throughout the general world populace that currently have this ability, but until it is brought out by proper exercise, methods and training, it lays dormant. So he was told that Earth in its geological infancy and that we should expect much change very soon. He was also told that people that have similar abilities will be needed in the future when all electromagnetic communications will be rendered useless. This is a heavy information, guys. And this is his actually evidence that he was working there, a copy of his permanent change of station, right? Which took him from Project Preserve Destiny Base 1 to Project Preserve Destiny Base 2. Certain sensitive information, of course, are plucked out, right? So, Sergeant Sherman actually recalls that there were other items in the communication, including such things as potentially for recall, residual pain level, nerve response, body normalization, and other more obscure things that can recall because they made no sense to him at the time, right? Also, the alien abduction communication included a latitude and longitude coordinate where the alien abduction took place, date and time. So you can see with 118, that was his own number. 23576 was the code for the base itself. The subject was what kind of subject is abducted and where, right? This one was 7th of January 1994 in 4:30 a.m., if you will, right? So some of the reports that he was able to communicate with extraterrestrials, if you will, concluded those messages potentially for recall, residual pain, nerve response curve, body normalization, and similar stuff. This is where he got very, very scared and upset, and he said, what the heck actually I get into it? And he started to question. He didn't got any more answers. And when I was doing my stuff, if you will, I started to intercept those communications, if you will, by or how should I say, organization that I'm not allowed to speak publicly, but it exists, and many of the antennas actually are just serving for, let's say, receiving data from the source that is not human in origin, if you will, right? So when I was showing actually to decode the crop designs and what they actually mean, they were telling me, and also many times I was picking up their language. So every time when I was in communication, I was seeing all kind of letters, if you will, in their language, what that means, if you will. So it's all about this. We need to understand how to tune into the psionic field of the planet, if you will, in order that we pick up communication and to understand what is really going on. So I will start with this. I'm doing courses for a very long time. Thousands of students have worked with to increase their abilities, if you will. Many are PhDs, many are doctors, many are from the military establishment. Usually the military trains remote viewing personnel. They give them coordinates so they can view certain, how should I say, places on the other countries. So it's all about techniques that can be used. So it's all about this. I will explain how it goes. So imagine this. When you close your eyes, you're still thinking in words, there is a blackness on the mental screen, nothing happens. But if you use proper way of breathing and if you use proper way of, let's say, concentration, you can change that. How is that possible? When you go into yourself and you put yourself into the situation that you do not think in words, that's the first stage, and you do not think in anything actually, you become completely empty. That will push you directly into the present moment, here and now, and the first thing that you will be aware is your breathing. When that happens, you will see that the blackness on the mental screen has shifted. And there are some images, first very uncertain, very vivid, let's say, but as if you keep this concentration, they will come more and more. What I'm trying to say, by doing this, the pineal gland starts to reproduce more DMT biochemical compound, and the third eye, sixth sense, or the sixth chakra, whatever you wish, starts to produce or to supply visions from the astral dimension, if you will, right? So, like I said, those images that will come and go, they will disappear. Let's say if you have seen some beautiful lake somewhere and you said, look, I'm seeing something. It's not something that you're imagining, but you are seeing just the way as you're seeing me, and this actually projection, right? So when that happens, if you use words, they will disappear again, the mental screen will come black again. But if you use the same concentration, you become completely neutral, if you will, just like a silent witness, right? Observing the movie, let's say the movie, the screen is where the movie is projected in the cinema, and this time the cinema will be actually in your mental screen with your closed eyes. That's where you will see the visions. So as they come, they will be more and more, how should I say, correct, more color, and you will see actually that they are moving very fast and that you cannot control it. If you want to control it, you cannot do it by words. If you use the words, the brain will again switch those centers and it will pick up the nominal centers again, and it will become black in front of your black eyes, if you will. So if you use a secondary consciousness, just let's say if you want to observe some small house in Switzerland that you have, for example, you start to visualize with that second part of consciousness that house in Switzerland, and you will see that those images that are coming will start to shift. You will start to see things very close to the environment in that house in Switzerland, but the problem will appear for the untrained person, how to do the observation there, how to move right or left or some direction. So it's all about this. You have to use two forces. One force that you need to pull towards yourself. Let's say you are pulling the front house or the house towards your mental screen, and you're pushing your consciousness out towards that, through the mental screen, if you will. And that's where actually the movement starts. So you will see, if you pull too much and push too much, a zooming sound will appear, a kundalini energy will start. If that happens, if you push too much, actually your essence will be moved in your astral body directly on that house in Switzerland. And you will lose the physical contact with the physical body. Before that event, it's called remote viewing. After that event, it's called controlled out of the body experience or astral projection. So what I'm trying to say, that's the only basic thing of what we are actually delivering to people when we teach them. They teach this similar in military and different organizations, but this is quicker, if you will. So this actually penetrates, I will explain further, into the psionic field of the planet, where you can pick up thoughts from the planet Earth itself, because the planet Earth is alive, it's a living organism, it's a consciousness on its own, if you will, but we will speak about that. So the Schumann resonance, the basic one, there are 7 basic Schumann resonances, in fact, but one is the most important one, is 7.83 Hertz. If during the meditation you tune into this frequency and you are skilled enough how to do it, you can actually tune into the psionic field. You're just like watching internet with your closed eyes. It's real internet, not imagining stuff. And it's only possible if you tune into this frequency, right? But by blocking the thoughts, not thinking in words, you're automatically by default switching into this frequency. Because if you're hooked into the device, EEG device, when we spoke and we use analytic, we are at the beta range. If we close eyes, it will immediately show alpha. But in order to do this, actually, we need very close to theta or theta. Delta just for the Kundalini energy rising, and I will explain that also. So it's all about this bionic field. They are waiting for us that we grow. What that means? What is awakening? They're waiting for us that we learn these mechanics and we start to use our potentials. Because without this, we cannot do what they are suggesting. And by this, we will tune into the planetary field of the planet and tune into the consciousness. Like I said, the images will be very, very unclear in the beginning, but as someone progresses, they become very, very clear until it reaches and where you can pick up the consciousness of the planet itself, if you will, right? And even beyond the astral traveling. So this is what it's all about. We have to understand that it's enough DNA mutation at the moment that we are able to do this consciously, only if we give the right time and effort to practice. And it's very important that we understand this. So you can see the first thing that will appear when you start to go out of your physical body, you will start to see living creatures, you will start to see UFO activities, because if you go out, there is nothing there on the sky. But if you just put infrared camera and other sensitive equipment, you will see that on that infrared you will see objects that are moving information very fast, something that is not visible on the visible spectrum, if you will, right? So as we increase our senses without the body experience and we enter the etheric level or astral level, if you will, the first thing that you will see a huge extraterrestrial presence, if you will. So that's where the real stuff begins. So I don't know if this is going to do any good, but I will just mention it, right? So the shadow government is monitoring everyone at the moment. There is no privacy at least 30 or 40 years. With the monitors, they had installed different, how should I say, capabilities of the software to be, how should I say, activated remotely, and everyone that has a so-called metagene in his DNA can be observed. But every time when there is a Kundalini rising, and if the monitor is on, it flashes. So I can tell you that from my own experiences. So now we will start to move into more, how should I say, progressive stage, if you will. Let's see the hierarchy of the extraterrestrial presence on our system, right? So as you can see, this is taken from stereo ahead, and there are many pictures from stereo behind. You can see a huge objects very close to the sun, so the actual size of the sun is this white circle, right, as you're observing. So many crafts are very big, how should I say, much bigger than the planet Earth itself, that are cruising very close to the sun. As you can see, they are very interesting in shape. Some are like birds, if you will, and they are penetrating the sun. Our star is nothing what our scientists in the mainstream actually had told us. It's completely different in reality. And this plasma actually, you can see, it's hollow. It's a black hole. They use the star to penetrate in, to travel to different parts of the space, continuous time-space continuum, if you will, and to different dimensions also, right? They're always shooting a beam of light, a laser, in order to change the chemical structure, of the sun, in order to activate. This was taken in 2003. As you can see, it's extraordinary. They understand, they're so evolved, so advanced, that they understand that this metric is intelligent, and that we can intelligently change it, if you will. So this is actually a very rare image that was provided by the ex-director of the SETI, where you can see that they are using softwares to open the sun gates. So many other crafts, as you can see, that are flying everywhere. Even this one leaves a plasma trail behind. Another, you can see this one is planet Venus. And from another angle. The real bizarre stuff. Many things are hidden from us. What is this pyramidal shapes doing on the sun? And you can see they're always firing a laser. They are firing a laser that penetrates the sun corona, chooses some kind of changes in the chemical structure of the plasma, and they actually penetrate inside, or they just exit. Some are even metallic shape, huge objects. Another one, cigar shape. Most of those cigar shapes are found around the rings of Saturn, if you will, right? So you can see this is taken in 2001. As you can see, it's moving in this direction. So this is also very bizarre. Have you seen the movie with the monolith, Space Odyssey? Yes, so you can see this one has been visible on the sun in 2003, June 21st. So you can see there are things on the run that we really do not understand, and there are things that are completely hidden from the public awareness, still believing us that Earth is not hollow. So as you can see, it's a huge universe out there, and we had recorded life forms. Some are good, some are evil, if you will. So this fight is there also. It's not just on Earth, if you will. So you can see actually the objects from different, from the stereo behind and stereo ahead, objects that are happening, that are penetrating inside, if you will, very close to that one. So just for the evidence, I will not bother you much with this. You can see on the X-ray spectrum, they just penetrate when the sun gate is opened. So you can see this one. I will just give you the video at the moment. There you go. You can see the sun gate open and close. That's where they penetrate in or exit out in the sun, if you will. So they will not tell you this in NASA or in different places, right? So you can see those objects also flying in information. Many of those cigar shapes, as we mentioned, are found around the rings of Saturn, and some are even making those rings, if you will, right? And when actually Cassini went by, in the last few years, they actually picked up a strange artificial signal that told the radio, how should I say, astronomers pick it up on Earth, and when it was decoded, it says they will not know what will hit them. So you can see another type of craft that is under cloak. It's coming from the sun directly. So you can see it's a huge activity there. This is from STS-75, the tether incident, when actually the tether broke. But luckily it broke. The space shuttle was intact, and the tether actually was intact also. But the cable actually spread 12 miles. So you can see, you can use this as a ruler, and you can see that those objects are at least 2 to 3 miles in diameter, so they're huge. Because I have been there, I have seen many stuff. They're under cloak. There is an energy field around them. When this energy field is off, this is how the craft actually looks like. So like I said, I'm only sharing this information, and it's up to you people what you do with it, right? So again, from another example, Moon.